Hello, my name is Richard Bishan. Today my discussion post 6-1 will be a presentation on my workplace problem. For my class, Quantitative and Qualitative Methods for Decision Making under Professor David Kerr. A little bit of background, I am an Associate Director for the Combined Federal Campaign, also known as the CFC. So, what is the CFC? Well, the CFC was introduced by John F. Kennedy, President, in 1961. Since then, we have raised over $1 million from federal workers, including military and DoD civilians, FBI, Border Patrol, United States Postal Service, Treasury and court officers, USDA, U.S. Marshals, EPA, and just about any employee that works for any office that has U.S. in front of their name. Now you may ask yourself, why is it so important that a president needs to sign its existence into law? Well, that's because the government needed a one-stop shop for all charities to have the opportunity to knock on Uncle Sam's door to ask for charitable donations. After all, we have a nation to run. We can't have charities knocking on our wall all year long. So it was said that charities would like to participate could get the chance during a 4 to 5 month campaign, depending on the year, called the Combined Federal Campaign. Lately, the campaign has become somewhat stagnant by donors, charities, and leadership. Therefore, I created a fishbone diagram during a cause and effect analysis. I eventually came up with a problem statement that I thought would focus on the major problem, that is, the problem with the 2020 campaign is low participation from charities and donors due to COVID-19 constraints. As you can see, the 2020 campaign plateaued at weeks 17 and 16, where the last 2 years did not plateau until week 20 or later. This chart shows real data taken a few weeks ago and proves the point of the problem statement. Now that I have a solid problem statement, I need to start working on what the possible causes and solutions to that problem. To do this, I needed help. I asked 2 of my colleagues to have a brainstorming session with me so I could use the divergent thinking process to start to solve the problem statement. 2 of us had at least 2 years experience working with the CFC, and one of the team members had over a decade worth of experience working in the world of philanthropy. During the divergent thinking process, we came up to 15 to 20 solutions. Good or bad, that did not matter at this stage. The phone call that went on for just over an hour. So yes, we did take some time to come up with this list. So take a look at the mind map seen here for the solutions we came up with. We also adjusted our problem statement into a question. That is, how do we improve donor and charity involvement in the combined federal campaign? Our next step was to start breaking down those solutions using the convergent thinking process. During this process, I had to rack and stack each solution. It was a tedious process that worked well. I went from 20 solutions just down to 5. Leadership push, fundraising, lower fees for charities, contracts with on-base stores, and United States Postal Service focused campaigns. Please take a look at the mind map here that explains the process further. Devil's advocate thinking. This was one of my favorite parts, but may have been one of the hardest parts of the entire process. This is where you must start asking the hard questions that you may have been avoiding. If you want a real solution, you must be honest at this point. This part of the process had a 6-question test that I had to conduct on each of the 5 solutions. These questions helped me narrow the solutions down to 3. One might say the final 3 in a way: leadership push, fundraising reinstatement, and contracts with on-base stores. The weighted ranking matrix. One of the tools that I used to break down the final 3 problems with the campaign was the weighted ranking matrix. This process had many benefits to it. It is a simple tool used to numerically value various criteria. That is why deciding the correct criteria is so important. In the below matrix, I decided to evaluate the 3 top solutions for the problem statement. The 5 criteria I chose were: man hours, ranked at point 3 as the second most important effect of the solution. Man hours are the sources used for many decisions in businesses. If a project is going to cost excessive man hours to perform, chances are both leadership and employee are going to resist implementation of that project. No one wants more to do, even when it's for a good cause. Employers do not want to pay their employees to do something that will only take away from their production. Donor resistance. In this case, the donor are employers and employees. For this reason, the author decided it is the most valuable effect of the solution at point 4. If the donors feel overwhelmed by the solution, they will be less likely to give. If employers feel they are being forced to give too much of their employees' time, they in turn could be turned off from giving. Charity resistance. The charities involved in the campaign is important. Donors like to see local charities involved and seem to give more when they can see their money is going where their money is going. Therefore, I rank the criterion at point 1. Outside resistance. Outside resistance is mainly dealing with the contracts that would need to be done with on-base stores. To ask them to train their employees on the process of fundraising, base leadership might think fundraising methods could take away from overall profits around the base and would resist that as well. I found that many businesses resisted this type of fundraising because they feel it could take away from their profits. I also feel that if tips were not welcome, like at AFES or MWR facilities, that profits of the business is not a problem. This criterion was also ranked at point 1. Cost. The last criterion for this matrix is the cost. Cost will drive anyone away, donors and charities alike. There are costs to almost all plans. How do we keep costs at a minimal while solving the problem at hand? The largest cost involved in these solutions would be contracts for the on-base stores to be able to come on board, charities listing costs, and added man hours. This criterion was also ranked at point 1 because I believe the cost can be kept to a minimum if approached correctly. All criterion rankings must add up to 1. So if you add them across the top, they do add up to 1. Also, in this matrix, the higher number is better. That's why it says HIB. Higher is better. As you can see by the color coding, leadership push 1 with 2.6 points. Next, I will start to discuss the implementation plan. to include another tool vital to the decision-making process called the Process Decision Program Chart, PDPC. The PDPC will help you better understand how the solutions will work. You will notice I decided to add fundraising and contracting with on-base stores as part of the leadership implementation plan itself. Also, is the decision support itself, meaning how will leadership push the CFC? In this process, I kept going down until I found an acceptable solution to each engagement. Acceptable is marked with an O, while unacceptable outcomes are marked with an X. I'll go through the right side for you so you can understand how this chart works. The final step is to list the activity. On this chart, I listed that leadership would allow fundraising back into the campaign. I listed 2 examples of fundraisers. And a tool that could be used to implement them. The CFC already has an app that is downloadable. The software already exists in the app to allow fundraising. The advantages of using the app to allow fundraising are listed. Then we roll down to the bad decisions and 2 bad decisions and 1 good decision. Theft occurring is unacceptable. Employees taking too much time away from work will kill productivity and is also unacceptable. The best outcome for this solution is that each employee takes a 15 minutes allowed to participate, then if needed, takes leave or lunch in conjunction with their fundraising activity. Next, we move to the effective solution formula. The effective solution formula is ES equals Q times A, or in layman's term, effective solution is equal to the quality and to its acceptance. You could have a low quality and a low acceptance solution. In this solution, no one wins. Stakeholders have no say in your decision, therefore you receive low acceptance. Leaders rushed into a decision therefore you have a low quality solution. My solution is thought to be a win-win for all stakeholders, receiving a high quality and high acceptance for the federal agencies. This solution should also boost donations that will improve charities' ROI as well. Again, a win-win-win solution that I hope can be made available in the next campaign. Although environmental effects seem to be low with this solution, the effects on the community have the ability to be overwhelmingly good, or, unfortunately, may not have any effect at all on the campaign. I did my research with this solution, though, so I believe, if implemented, the community will see huge dividends in future campaigns. In conclusion, it is well known that a leader must lead from the front if he or she wants their team to succeed. Leaders need to care enough to push the combined federal campaign to be the best campaign possible for the sake of many charities out there that need the federal community's help now more than ever. COVID-19 has hurt many communities. Unemployment is at an all-time high. We all suffer under these conditions one way or another. Let's feel good about the change we can have an effect on. Let's get behind the combined federal campaign coming to an agency near you in September 2021. Thank you.